Distinguished members, partners, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th anniversary conference of AWEB. My name is Seung Kim, Assistant Secretary General of AWEB. On behalf of the Secretariat, I would like to thank you all for joining this special conference despite time difference and hectic schedule. Today's conference is divided into two sessions. In the first session, we are going to look at the past 10 years of AWEB from various perspectives. We are going to review the key activities of AWEB and many other issues to do with budget, membership, structure, decision-making of AWEB. In the second session, we are going to identify the areas for improvement and discuss how to further strengthen AWEB for the next 10 years as a valuable network of election management bodies around the world in many aspects. Many members and partners are not present in person in order to reflect their views and opinions in today's discussion as much as possible. The Secretariat conducted a survey for the last 3 months among all members and partners of AWEB. The survey results will be introduced in session 1, and I'd like to encourage you to feel free to leave your comments throughout the conference. Your comments will be shared on the screen during the break. Now, I would like to introduce to you the participants present here in person who will give their thoughts and insights in today's discussion. Mr. Mosto Moyapia, Chairperson of AWEB, and Chairperson of IEC South Africa. And Mr. Simon Mamabolo, Chief Electoral Officer. Welcome. From India, Mr. Anup Chandra Pandey, Election Commissioner, and Mr. Dharmendra Sharma, Senior Deputy Election Commissioner. Welcome. From Romania, Mr. Tony Glebla, President of PA, and Mr. Ion Minku, Director of External Affairs. Welcome. From Dominican Republic, Mr. Samir Chami Isa, Member of JCE, and Mr. Jorge Sankar, Director of International Relations. Welcome. Thank you. From Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ms. Vanya Velika Pertina, Member of CEC. Welcome. Last but not least, from Lesotho, Dr. Karabo Mokobocho Mwalakuana, Commissioner of IEC, and Mr. Mpaifele Makuto, Director of Elections, and Ms. Lydia Machelli, Civic and Voter Education Major. Welcome. 2 colleagues from our partner organizations are joining us online. Ms. Terese Pierce Lanella, Head of Electoral Processes, Team International IDEA, and Mr. Craig Castagna, Program Director of IRI. I am looking forward to your interventions. Now, I ask Mr. In-Sik Chang, Secretary General of AWEB, to deliver his opening remarks.
Welcome to Republic of Korea. Good afternoon. I am going to start opening speech. His Excellency Mr. Mosoto Moyapia, the Chairperson of AWEB. Excellency Mr. Anup Chandra Pandey, Election Commissioner of India. Mr. Tony Glebla, President of PA Romania. Mr. Samir Chimi Isa, Member of JCE, Dominican Republic. Mrs. Vanya Bielica Pertina, Member of CEC Bosnia Herzegovina. Dr. Karabo Mokopocho Mwalakuana, Commissioner of IEC Lesotho. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to see you all in person and online on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of AWEB. I would like to thank all of you present today for taking time out of your busy schedule. in particular for those of you who are joining us online. I am very grateful and looking forward to meeting you in person next time. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to you for the kind support you have rendered to the Secretariat for the last 10 years. Today, we are here to celebrate the 10th anniversary of AWEB. This conference is a very special and rare opportunity for all members of AWEB and the partner organizations to look back on our journey of the last 10 years. We started our journey with an ambitious vision to foster efficiency and effectiveness in conducting free and fair and transparent and participative elections worldwide. 10 years from then, how far have we come? I think it is very timely that we evaluate our past performance on the occasion of 10th anniversary. Before this conference, the Secretariat conducted a survey, and over 50 members and partner organizations actively participated in the survey, giving us their valuable insight. Based on this survey results, today we will review the current status of our association, identify key programs that will benefit our members, establish important policies, and find solutions to the challenges we are facing right now. I believe that today's discussion and evaluation will have a great impact on the future course of AWEB for the next 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I was appointed as the Secretary General of AWEB at the last Great General Assembly meeting. Assuming this important position, I promised that Secretariat will do its best to communicate closely with all members and create more opportunities for exchange of experience among them. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express my firm resolution to keep my promise once again. Thank you again, especially for those of you joining this conference online, despite the time difference. I hope today's meeting will be very successful and fruitful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Secretary General. Now, Mr. Mosoto Moyapia, Chairperson of AWEB, will deliver his keynote speech.
Thank you, Program Director. Fellow members of the Association of World Election Bodies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and privilege to address you today as we mark the 10th anniversary of our esteemed organization, the Association of World Election Bodies, AWEB as we know it. This conference serves as a momentous occasion to reflect, celebrate, and chart a bold course for the future of election management bodies worldwide. Over the past decade, AWEB has grown into a dynamic and influential force dedicated to promoting the integrity, transparency, and inclusivity of electoral processes worldwide. As we celebrate this milestone, it is crucial that we pause to reflect on achievements we made in building the capacity of our members through dialogue for the programs such as Election Management Capacity Building Program, the Election Information and Communication Technology, ICT program, and the Election Visitors Program. This reflection, grounded in insights from the comprehensive survey conducted by AWEB Secretariat and encompassing membership, policy, program, and communication, allows us to understand the impact and contributions we have made so far in this organization. By openly sharing survey results, we aim to provide valuable insights into the main achievements of AWEB. We must celebrate our successes whilst we are also acknowledging the valuable lessons we have learned from our challenges in the past. Our growth has marked not only by increasing the number of member election management bodies, but also by our resilience and depth of our impact. We have facilitated knowledge sharing, collaboration, and the exchange of best practices on a global scale. And today, we stand united as a beacon of progress in advancing the best election management practices globally. Over the past 10 years, AWEB has, like any other worldwide membership organization, suffered from the public health emergencies that we have experienced. These public health emergencies have left behind a trail of devastation every time they occurred. They also posed far-reaching challenges to everyday lives on multiple levels, at family level, at political levels, health-wise, democracy and rights, environment, and naturally to our own electoral processes in our individual jurisdictions. These public health emergencies have included hurricanes in some of our member countries, typhoons, floods, H1N1 influenza, the Ebola pandemic, the poliomyelitis, Zika, and COVID-19, amongst others. The resilience of our organization was stretched to the limit during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our response to the unimagined worldwide public health emergency caused by COVID-19 between 2020 and 2022 was to organize and participate in international webinars and conferences focusing on the pandemic in an endeavor to mitigate its effect. In addition to the natural disasters and pandemics that we have experienced, the persistent occurrence of violent election-related conflicts and other episodes undermining democratic governance worldwide have forced AWEB to focus on mitigation of the external vulnerabilities to our electoral management bodies and fortifying our capacity to respond to the challenges confronting us. As we mark this important milestone, since our establishment, we continue to harness the collective wisdom by sharing knowledge and lived experiences in responding to the challenges and applying the best practices in election management administration worldwide. We have the resolve to translate the achievements at national and regional levels to a global level through collective efforts and learning from each other. The next decade presents us with unique opportunities and challenges in the ever-evolving landscape of election management. As we gather here, let us collectively brainstorm and provide feedback to outline the strategic roadmap for AWEB's future. Let us work and hold hands together as we strengthen this institution. We must use this opportunity to ask ourselves hard questions. And these questions are not limited, but they include: 1, what are the measures that we need to put in place to strengthen the Secretariat and improve its efficiencies? 2, how do we strengthen the General Assembly by, among others, reviewing the frequency of meetings and ensuring that members are well informed and that decisions are taken truly in a short space of time? 3, how do we reorganize ourselves to ensure that our signature programs, such as capacity building, elections visitors programs, seminars, research and publication, reach out to all of our members on a timeous basis? 4, how do we strengthen partnerships with international organizations and regional associations of electoral management bodies? 5, how do we find new sources of income in the face of our shrinking budget and the ever-increasing need for our work to expand across the globe? 6, how do we better promote the good work that AWEB has done and continues to do in promoting communication between organizations and members? And 7, how do we deal with the erosion of electoral democracy in some regions that must mean ways for us to help them and to grow with them at the same time, remembering that their challenges are our challenges too? How do we do this, all of these things, in a way that embraces that we are different and unique individually, but we are stronger put together and working together? I'm confident that the answers to these questions will come from this rich and diverse gathering. Together, let us tackle these emerging challenges. Let us propose innovative solutions to them, and let us set new goals that will guide us for the next 10 years and beyond. This anniversary conference is a great opportunity and platform for both our electoral management bodies and partner organizations to connect even better, to exchange even better ideas, and to explore ways to continue to look at best practices and innovations in the field of work that we do. Let us use these opportunities to network with one another and foster international cooperation and amplify AWEB's global influence. In conclusion, as we stand at the intersection of reflection and vision, let us remember the significance of our mission. We are the stewards of democracy, the guardians of fair and transparent elections, and the advocates for the views and voices of citizens worldwide. Our journey over the past decade has been remarkable, but the path ahead is even more promising. Let us seize this moment to celebrate our achievements, to share our knowledge and skills, to define our strategic direction and strengthen our collaboration working together. Together, we will shape the future of election management worldwide, ensuring that principles of democracy remain vibrant and accessible to every citizen in our jurisdictions. I want to thank you for your dedication, for your commitment, and for your unwavering support in the last 10 years. I want to say, here's to the next 10 years of AWEB's global impact and success. Let us seize this opportunity. Let us continue to work together for the good of the world, not just our own jurisdictions. The world would be such a better place if we were all achieving in the mission that we have set out for AWEB. I want to thank you and wish you well even as we celebrate today. Thank you indeed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moepia, Chairperson of AWEB. Now, Mr. Taeyang Ro, chairperson of National Election Commission of Korea, will deliver his congratulatory remarks. Unfortunately, since the National Assembly audit is underway in Korea, Mr. Ro is not with us. Instead, we are going to hear his recorded message.
A웹 창립 10주년을 축하합니다. 대한민국 중앙선거관리위원회 위원장 노태악입니다. 오늘 A웹 창립 10주년 축사를 하게 되어 큰 영광으로 생각합니다. 10년 전 2013년 10월 14일 A웹 창립총회에서 대한민국 중앙선거관리위원회 이인복 위원장은 A웹의 가장 큰 목표는 전 세계 선거기관 및 관련 국제기구들의 협력을 통하여 선거 민주주의를 발전시키는 것입니다. 라고 말했습니다. 그리고 10년이 지났습니다. A웹은 10년 전 창립 목표를 나름대로 성공적으로 수행했습니다. 94개국 97개 기관으로 시작한 A웹은 지금 110개국 119개 기관으로 확대되어 국제협력을 강화하였고 선거지원, 국제선거창관, 토론회 및 교육연수 등을 통해 선거 민주주의를 발전시키는 데 큰 역할을 하였습니다. A웹의 존재와 필요성을 확인한 것입니다. 앞으로 A웹은 지난 10년 동안 성장한 것보다 더욱 발전해야 합니다. 선거관리의 최종적인 관심사이자 목적은 자유롭고 공정한 선거입니다. 오늘날 코비드-19과 같은 세계적인 전염병, 가짜뉴스, 챗 GPT를 비롯한 인공지능 등과 같이 불과 얼마 전까지는 상상하기 어려웠던 새로운 변화와 현상을 맞이하고 있습니다. 파급 속도가 빠르고 영향력이 큰 이러한 변화들은 자유롭고 공정한 선거에 큰 영향을 미칠 수 있습니다. 아울러 발전하는 과학기술이 반영된 새로운 선거 시스템의 도입도 고민해야 합니다. 우리는 A웹을 통해 이러한 변화에 전 세계적으로 함께 대응하여 이겨나갈 수 있으리라 확신합니다. 지금 같은 변화의 시대에 우리를 도울 수 있는 A웹이 있다는 건 다행스럽고 고마운 일이 될 것입니다. A웹 회원기관 여러분께도 감사와 축하의 말씀을 전합니다. 여러분의 관심과 참여 덕분에 A웹 10주년을 맞이할 수 있었습니다. 여러분의 지속적인 관심과 참여를 부탁드리겠습니다. 다시 한번 A웹 창립 10주년을 축하드리고 A웹과 회원기관의 무궁한 발전을 기원합니다. 감사합니다.
Now we are going to watch a short video to see at a glance the past performances of A웹.
In October 2013, election management bodies from around the world came together and founded Aweeb, the Association of World Election Bodies. We respect the independence and diversity of each election management body, share the belief that elections are crucial in the democratic process, and cooperate to ensure a trustworthy electoral process. Aweeb, the world's largest international organization in election management. The Aweeb community is a hub for exchanging experiences and knowledge among members. Aweeb members discover and promote joint initiatives through the General Assembly and Executive Board meetings, presided over by the Aweeb Chair. Organizing seminars and international conferences, releasing publications, and managing election data from around the world. AWEB shares election management cases worldwide. In addition, after a feasibility study, the AWEB experts in various fields implemented customized election ICT projects with member EMBs. As a result, the members who jointly carried out the project could independently operate new systems, enhancing the accuracy and transparency of election management. Election officials from 87 countries have participated in the AWEB training programs and discussed ways to improve election management. The action plans the participants have drawn up during the course are realized in their countries. We deploy an international election observation mission consisting of member and partner organizations from around the world. The AWEB experts develop and utilize observation manuals as part of this program. The recommendations of the observer group are actually used to improve the election management procedures in the countries where the AWEB election visitor program was implemented. AWEB will continue to contribute to the qualitative expansion of its platform through strengthened partnerships with relevant organizations and support for the capacity building of member organizations. We jointly strive to efficiently and effectively realize free, fair, transparent, and inclusive elections. A valuable network for election management bodies around the world. We are AWEB.
Now, session 1 begins. We are going to review the key activities carried out for the last 10 years. Before beginning our discussion, the Secretariat will give you brief presentations on the key activities and share with you the survey results that I mentioned earlier. To begin with, I would like to invite Jinju, Deputy Director of Training Team. Jinju is going to make a presentation of the capacity building programs and election visitors programs conducted for the last 10 years.
Sorry. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow members. I'm Jinju Cho, Deputy Director of the Training Team at the AWEB Secretariat. It's my privilege to be before you today in this momentous occasion, the 10th anniversary of Association of World Election Bodies. Over the past decade, our collective pursuit has been to democratic electoral systems worldwide. And today, as we commemorate this significant milestone, I wish to take you through a journey of two of our pivotal programs that have played a crucial role in this endeavor. They are Election Management Capacity Building Program and Election Visitor Program. I will begin with a brief introduction, providing context for our discussion today. We will explore the performance of Election Management Capacity Building Program since its inception in 2014. I highlight the significant milestones and achievements we've had over the years. And we will discuss the Election Visitor Program, touching upon its performance since 2015. Next, I will delve into the benefits of EVP and its contribution to our mission. We will wrap up this part by discussing the outcomes of the program. And lastly, we will outline our dedication and the path we are exploring to enhance our approach and the core essence of AWEB's mission. Now, let's get started with the introduction. First and foremost, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude to be standing here today at the 10th anniversary of AWEB. A decade is a significant milestone, and it signifies AWEB's unwavering commitment to fortifying principles for democratic elections across the globe. When we talk about democracy, we talk about people's voices and their choices and the systems that uphold these rights. And while every nation has its unique context, there is an underlying thread of universal democratic election principles that we all strive for. Today, I will be shedding light on two initiatives that I believe embody the spirit of collaboration and capacity. First, we will delve into our election management capacity building program, a cornerstone in upskilling election officials and ensuring elections are both transparent and effective. And secondly, our election visitor program, a proof of our belief that by exploring and understanding, we can absorb best practices from every electoral system. Both these programs over the past decade have not just been about training or observation. They've been about stories and shared learnings and the continuous pursuit of democratic excellence. First, let's take a look at the election management capacity building program. This program was created with a vision to enhance the capacity of election officials and provide them with the tools to effectively manage elections. Over the past decade, we've trained a substantial number of election professionals, fostering a global network of capable and skilled individuals. Even throughout the COVID pandemic, between 2020 and 2022, we offered virtual training to equip election officials with essential knowledge, ensuring they could hold elections safely despite the challenging conditions. Now, I'd like to share with us some remarkable achievement of election management capacity building program since 2014. In this span, we've trained a staggering 951 election officials, representing 87 diverse countries across the globe. This is the testament to our commitment to global electoral education and its best practices. Our training programs have been comprehensive and tailored to address key areas in electoral processes. These courses include elections and media, enhancing transparency in political finance, strengthening voter education, and increasing the participation of marginalized groups in the electoral process. These courses were chosen based on feedback from members regarding the topics to be covered in the training program. Let's take a moment to explore the tangible impacts of the election management capacity building program in various countries. The program's real-world applications demonstrate its value and effectiveness. First, let's focus on Mongolia. The General Election Commission of Mongolia took actionable steps based on their learnings. After the program, the Commission implemented a plan devised by their representatives during their CBP attendance. But they didn't stop there. Recognizing the importance of voter awareness, Mongolia launched two significant voter and civic education initiatives. First one, the Young Voter Program for the university students and the Future Voter Program for secondary school students. This proactive approach gave approximately 787 students in Ulaanbaatar city the invaluable opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of election system in their country by actively participating in these programs. And moving on to the Pacific, the Kiribati Electoral Commission showcased another commendable application of the CBP Insight. After their involvement in CBP in September 2018, they took steps to enhance the transparency in their political finance structures. One of the pivotal outcomes was the introduction of a new mechanism designed to combat vote buying. This proactive approach was reflected in the Kiribati election bill, which introduced a legislative amendment aiming to limit the candidates' expenditures. after being presented to the Parliament in November 2019, this significant reform was ratified, and it came into effect in time for 2020 general elections. These real-world applications underscore the value and importance of election management capacity building program, not just in a learning platform, not as a, just a learning platform, but as a catalyst for tangible change in the electoral processes across the globe. Now, I'd like to shine a spotlight on impactful experiences shared by the participants of our program. Their words truly encapsulate the essence and the transformative power of our initiative. First, Ms. Nargis Sadirovna from Central Commission of Elections and Holding Referenda of Kyrgyz Republic. The Ms. Sadirovna's team was empowered to introduce an impactful legislative change, drawing from knowledge they acquired in the May session. They made a pivotal decision to ensure all campaign payments are non-cash, amplifying transparency. This reform was promptly passed and implemented in the Kyrgyz Republic's parliamentary elections held on November 2021. And we have Mr. Chikondi Kimbiri from Malawi Central Election. The two-paged online training program offered his team valuable insights into voter education. They were inspired to launch an innovative voter education initiative, especially catering to citizens with a hearing impairment. Not only did they draw plans, but they also implemented certain parameters to monitor voter education programs. These were immediately applied to 2021 parliamentary by-elections. The words of our participants serve as a testament to the depth, value, of capability, applicability of our program. We're not just in sharing knowledge. We're enabling action, fostering reforms, and creating ripple effect of a positive change in the real electoral process worldwide. And so far, we have delved into election management capacity building program. Let's shift our focus to the election-based program. This initiative aims to promote international cooperation and facilitate the exchange of best practices in election management. What do you think pushes AWEB observers to go through the different election settings? Firstly, it's about observing. Each electoral system, with its unique nuances and methodologies, has something to teach us. By observing, we garner best practices and insight, which can then be adapted and implemented elsewhere. Yet, observation is not just a one-way street. It's about the building bridges of understanding and fostering international cooperation. Through this program, we've been able to cement ties with the numerous countries, paving the way for the collaborative project and mutual growth. Basically, the election visitor program isn't just about observing elections. It's about sharing election knowledge and building friendship worldwide. I'd like to draw your attention to the remarkable achievement of election visitor program. Since the inception of the program in 2015, we have had a substantial impact on global electoral scenes. Our dedicated missions observed a total of 18 elections across various regions and political landscape. Furthermore, we have successfully deployed 243 election officials, ensuring a comprehensive understanding and oversight of these elections. The commitment and diligence of these officials have been instrumental in weaving a global tapestry of electoral knowledge and friendly fellowship. Through these efforts, AWEB continued to strengthen its role in promoting transparent and fair elections worldwide. While the essence of election business program lies in observation, its true value is immeasurable and multifaceted. Let's think about you are standing in a polling station, halfway across the world, observing not just electoral processes, but also cultural nuances that shape it. This is where we begin by truly witnessing and understanding elections in their unique context. Yet, its observation is like a piece of a vast jigsaw puzzle. Every country has, every election system offers a unique insight. And when pieced together, these insights provide a holistic understanding of a global electoral best practices. And what's learning without sharing? One of the program's cornerstone is the exchange of knowledge through discussions, workshops, and collaborative initiatives. Our participants share experience, challenges, and solutions with their international counterparts. The election business program is more than just a visit. It's an immersion, an exploration, and most importantly, a journey of shared learnings and growth. In 2017, AWEB took on a mission to observe Ecuador's general elections. As you can see the picture on the left side, the mission found several challenges with the voting booth and ballot boxes. Many observers highlighted issues with the booth stability and the size. Some booths were damaged at the base and causing them to tilt, and the cardboard construction was open, not secure enough. Furthermore, ballot compartments were too small, filing up by midday, requiring the staff to compress the ballots and make more space. And in location with outdoor voting, when the conditions knocked over some booths. Based on these findings, the AWEB mission devised the National Electoral Council of Ecuador to introduce a separate the voting booths and ensure that the ballot boxes were spacious enough to accommodate all ballots. And now we're pleased to note that our recommendations were implemented in the subsequent round of the presidential elections. And as we journey through our accomplishment, it's a pivotal to cast our gaze forward to the path that lies ahead. AWEB's commitment to promoting democracy doesn't waver, it evolves and grows. Our programs have been bedrock for all of our success. And as we move forward, we are not just continuing them, we are reimagining and elevating them to meet the challenge of a changing world. Our dedication is also about exploration, exploring new regions and new challenges and new methodologies. We are always on lookout for the areas of expansion, places where our expertise can make a tangible difference. At the same time, we always look at what we are doing and try to make our programs even better. Yet the core of our future vision lies on unshakable belief, the power of a collective collaboration and learning. As the world grows more interconnected, our strength lies in our shared knowledge, in our mutual learning, and our united mission. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jinju, for your presentation. Now, I would like to invite Rita, Deputy Director of Publicity Team. Rita is going to give a presentation of ICT country projects, communication, and promotional activities carried out for the last 10 years. Over to you.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Thank you for being here with us today. It's my great pleasure to present in front of this distinguished audience. Today, I'm excited to talk to you about the remarkable journey of the Association of World Election Bodies, AWEB, and its key activities over the past decades as a platform for exchanging expertise and experiences among member EMBs, both online and offline. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Rita Tae-ryung Lee. Since 2016, I've been working for the AWEB Secretariat as a deputy director in various departments. Currently, I'm working in the publicity department. I'm mainly responsible for developing marketing communications, including issuing periodic AWEB publications. AWEB's commitment to promoting efficiency and effectiveness in election management extended to offline activities such as country projects. Over the past decade, AWEB has engaged in collaborative projects with member organizations in Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, El Salvador, Ecuador, and countries in Oceania such as Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and Samoa. Following the steps required for launching and implementing the project, all the projects achieved the outcomes as planned, such as enhanced election ICT infrastructure and developed expertise and skills of experts of EMBs to operate the developed systems independently. The key to success is about nurturing experts, so capacity building for the relevant officials is crucial. In this regard, in 2018, the AWEB Secretariat organized a specialized training program on ICT in elections. The program aimed to enhance the policymaking capacity and practical knowledge of participants from the countries hoping to adopt ICT in their elections. The program comprises 2 courses, one for policymaking authorities, including parliamentary members, policymakers of election commissions, and civil organizations, and the other for IT engineers. So we organized 8 courses, grouping by languages, Spanish, English, and Russian, and a total of 125 participants from 33 countries successfully completed this course. At this time, I'm going to start my next topic. Tasks I'm currently working on. So while offline initiatives are essential, online platforms play a crucial role in reaching a global audience. AWEB communication and promotional activities have been exemplary. They include monthly newsletters, annual reports, and a user-friendly website that provide information on election management or electoral data. These digital tools are vital for connecting election management bodies and experts from around the world. Let me briefly introduce what our member election management bodies talked about our platform as a reason they would recommend AWEB to other EMBs. According to the survey results, the Secretariat has helped EMBs stay updated on the latest developments in the field of election management. So far, 900 world electoral practices and data have been shared through the AWEB online platform, and 366 cases have been contributed from 72 members and partners. And who are the main contributors? Let me show you. So contributors by continent, and these are top 10 contributors, our partners and EMBs in Dominican Republic, Kazakhstan, Romania, Taiwan, IFES, South Africa, Colombia, India, Malawi, and South Korea. So fortunately, most of top 10 contributors are here. I'm very happy with that. So let me show you next slide. What distinguishes our newsletter is participative nature. Readers aren't confined to the role of passive consumers. They can become authors, sharing their experiences and expertise with a global audience. This participative aspect transformed our newsletter into a dynamic hub of ideas and knowledge. A participative platform like our newsletter offers numerous advantages, I think. It fosters a sense of community and collaboration among our members. It ensures a continuous flow of fresh, relevant content. It also amplifies our collective expertise and makes our organization even stronger. The AWeB newsletter and annual reports, I think, are more than just a publication. They are a participative platform where readers can actively shape their content. So I encourage each one of you to consider sharing insights, your insights, experiences, and best practices. Together, we can make our publications even more powerful tool for knowledge exchange in the realm of election management. So as we reflect on AWeB's achievements, it is clear that we all play a crucial role in maximizing its potential. We can be AWeB evangelists, actively participating in sharing our experiences, knowledge, and best practices. By doing so, we can collectively contribute to the advancement of election management practices worldwide. So this ends my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Rita, for your presentation. Now I would like to invite Mr. Dharmendra Sharma, Senior Deputy Election Commissioner of India. Mr. Sharma is going to give us a presentation of the past performances of the AWeB India Center since it was established in 2019. It's over to you.
Your Excellencies, good afternoon. With the kind permission of the Chair and Election Commissioner Shri Pandey, I would like to begin the presentation. The India Web Center was established when India was offered the chair of AWeB 2019 onwards. AWeB itself we've gone through. We are obviously an extension of the aims and objectives that AWeB possesses, so I'll not repeat this particular slide. This is the short announcement history when it started. It was in the Bangalore session when the offer was made. The offer was coterminous with India becoming the chair in 2019, and its primary aim of the offer was to enrich, bring value and resonance to the AWeB activities. A non-duplication was built into it. It was more in terms of deepening of resources available to the member countries without and creating more options. India Web Center, this is the aims and objectives that we have established, and again you'll find it is primarily a knowledge and resource center. It aims for documentation, research and training, and of course the pursuit remains common to AWeB objectives and goals, that is supporting free, fair, inclusive, accessible and efficient and credible elections. We had about 4 objectives that we have listed here when we started it. One was that half-yearly publication of a journal on electoral systems of the world, and in 5 years 10 issues have been published. Yearly publication, annual publication of documents on focused topics. This is being done regularly. Quarterly publication of Voice International magazine. The way we worked it out was the Voice International was in existence in 2017 onwards, but once AWeB Center came into being, it became a vector for this AWeB Center itself. That is being, and 20 issues have already been published. And the training and capacity building of EMB officials on focused topics in coordination with the IIDM. IIDM being the India International Institute of Democracy and Election Management. And so AWeB Center itself doesn't have a physical location and office. It works through IIDM as well as our own internal resources of the Election Commission. Starting from 2019, when we came into being, a quick survey, we developed a specific logo for the center. A document conceptual framework and strategic plan for 2024 was released. A web portal for India Web Center was launched. we continued. The first major publication that came out was a Reddy Reckner brief profiles of the countries of EMBs. So we prepared that with partner organization of EBWeb, and it was released and posted on the web portal for sharing with the EBWeb community. Publication of international experience of conducting election of 2020 during COVID-19 was also released. And we hosted in September 20 international webinar on issue, challenges and protocols for conducting elections during COVID-19. The EBWeb India Journal of Election, this was an entirely new publication, while the remaining two publications had the genre of reporting and taking experiences of people directly in the field. The Journal of Elections was also a part effort to create knowledge and academic content into elections and electoral studies. The next issue of journal will be April to September 23 is in the pipeline and will be published shortly. We have already called for papers. We make a general call to papers to all members and we go for publication. This is the broad area of thematic research for documentation that we have highlighted for 19 to 24. It primarily covers all major electoral steps in a successful conduct of elections. So this is a kind of a overall target concepts that we are working on. International Election Visitor Program is a program that we have been running since 2020 onwards. The slide reflects the programs that we have already done, including the last one being 3rd to 5th December 2022. We'll come to the remaining part when we come to the next session, when we talk of the next steps. The EBWeb India Journal of Election, as I indicated, was launched. This is just the screenshot of the various topics that were covered and the timeline that it was released in. It covered women, persons with disabilities, senior citizens. Each had a focused area. You can read the slide. Voice International, as I indicated, was already in publications in 2017, which we then dedicated it and brought it as a journal for the EBWeb community itself. In all, 13 issues have been published till date. This is the Global Initiative in Election and Technology. It's a new publication. This was released on, will be released on 23rd, 24th of January 23. We released it under the cohort of electoral integrity under ECI leadership. This was carried out and the publication was to be targeted also for EBWeb community separately. This is the present calendar of programs. What is in the pipeline will continue. Updating the Reddy Reckner, what is happening, we just put up updated volumes that will keep coming, and whatever is the frequency of the publication that will keep going through in 2023 onward. A short 3 slides on IIDM, which becomes the back-end stopper for any effort that EBWeb India Center does. In 2023, we conducted 13 international training programs. The year is not yet complete. We still have many slots available. And 437 officials from various election management bodies have participated, covering most of the member EBWeb countries. The new initiative that the Election Commission has launched, and we offered 5 slots on a non-payment basis. It is a master's program in international electoral management and practices. Since at IIDM we do not have a degree awarding capability, we had an MOU with Tata Institute of Social Sciences located in Mumbai. The effort, the Commission says, what was mandated to the IIDM, that start pushing for a genre of electoral studies as a mainstream in universities. So this is a proper MA program which allows you to teach anywhere in India or wherever the Indian degrees are recognized. So it's a full-fledged master's program. It goes election management as well as a theory part of it. It combines it two. It's a 2-year program, partly online and partly a physical requirement of presence in India. We have been 5 international participants presently are undergoing training: Maldives, Bangladesh, Philippines, and Bhutan, and other students. And this is also where we, for the first time, encouraged students at large to participate directly on payment basis. So we very encouraged that in the very first program, 8 participants from various parts of India, students who have paid for this MA program and have come in. The second batch of 45 students are starting now. We've already made an offer to all the member countries in case they want to give a participant, send a participant. These are the 10 specific international training modules that we have created in conjunction with IFES. This again, this covers, so unlike other studies where we give primarily the Indian experience, in these international modules we focus on the thematic as such, with the Indian content being at about not more than 20-25%. The remaining 80% being international case studies, international experiences, all are brought into the international training modules. This is just a snapshot of the modules, and this I'll come to in the next session. This is the last slide. I'm just leaving it open because some of the slots are still available in case any member country would like to participate. Then this is through the IIDM resource as well as from the Government of India resource from the Ministry of External Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. As I mentioned in the beginning of the conference, the AEF Secretariat conducted a survey. Now I'd like to share with you some key findings of the survey results. Secretariat conducted a survey for about 3 months, and 53 member EMBs and 3 partner organizations participated in the survey. The questionnaire consists of 4 parts. One is about organization and membership. Another is about policy. Another is about programs and activities. And the other is about communication. And now let me share with you some key findings. The first part is about organization and membership. I wanted to see how members evaluate our association as an organization. This evaluation is directly related to their sense of belonging to the association and their senses of AEF membership. AEF is the world's largest organization of election management bodies in terms of its size of membership. Having said that, without a strong sense of belonging among members, AEF cannot be highly appreciated as an organization. In this regard, first of all, I wanted to see how our members evaluate the association at this point of time and to figure out what to do for them to highly appreciate their membership of AEF. As you see from the responses to question 2, most members have positive views of their AEF membership. Their views of their AEF membership can be demonstrated by their participation in the General Assembly of AEF. Attending the General Assembly meeting of AEF is a member's right, but at the same time, it's a member's duty. If a member has a strong sense of membership and highly appreciates AEF as an organization, it must attend the General Assembly meeting to exercise its right and fulfill its duty. In question 3, I asked the respondents if they participated in the last General Assembly meeting. Most of them said yes, which demonstrates their positive view of their AEF membership. 41% said no, but we can't conclude that they are negative about their AEF membership. They give kind of good reasons that make sense. They were busy preparing and holding elections, or they had a financial difficulty that discouraged them from traveling to the host country. In this regard, the chance may go up that they are going to attend the next General Assembly meeting if they will be able to sort out those domestic conditions. But the real challenge facing AEF in terms of membership is that over 50% of AEF members didn't join this survey. Many of them do not participate in the General Assembly of AEF for no apparent reasons. Having worked for AEF many years, I believe that the General Assembly participation rates are the barometer of members' sense of belonging and commitment to the association. To some degree, it's their fault. They don't fulfill their duty as a member. But to a more extent, I think the association has failed to meet their expectation for AEF membership. Question 9. How can the association encourage greater participation and engagement among its members? We can see from the answers what expectation members have for their AUM membership. Many of them want the association to organize more programs and activities such as capacity building programs and election observation programs. They also expect the association to facilitate more exchange and interaction among members so that members can share their best practices, case studies, and research through conferences, workshops, online platforms, etc. Some members also expect the association as a global network to address crucial global challenges. To sum up, members themselves should be more active and responsible in participating in AWEB's activities, including the General Assembly. But the leadership of AWEB, Executive Board, and the Secretariat should be able to meet the members' expectation for AWEB membership by making good policies and implementing the policies. The second part of the survey is about policy. AWEB is an international organization. Thinking of the role of an international organization, I think whatever kind of it is, it should constantly identify and set the agenda that may have a great effect on its members. In other words, an international organization should identify common challenges and issues shared by its members and facilitate exchange of information and experience by various means. I think the ultimate goal of election-related international organizations is to address and emphasize the importance of electoral democracy and universal values of election. Based on this goal, international organizations should be able to facilitate cooperation and coordination among members. Then how could international organizations deepen the cooperation among members? For example, immediately after the outbreak of COVID-19, many member EMBs of AWEB found themselves in trouble. In order to identify the common challenges and seek solutions, the AWEB Secretariat decided to organize a series of webinars covering and targeting all 5 continents. Those EMBs that were scheduled to hold elections expressed their concerns and challenges. And those EMBs who had already held elections in the midst of the pandemic shared their success stories and failures. I think this kind of cooperation can also be achieved between international organizations by building strong partnerships. Different organizations have different strengths and different weaknesses. In order to complement the relatively weak part, AWEB has received a lot of kind support and cooperation from other organizations such as IFES, IRI, OAS, and International IDEA. In order to identify the common challenges and issues facing our members, in question 10, I asked them what are the most pressing challenges to them right now. As you see, several issues have been identified. They are concerned about political influence. They also have voting and election management related issues. They believe they lack technology, public trust, or budget. They are concerned about disinformation and fake news. Once we have identified the common challenges and issues facing our members, the association should make policies so that it can properly address those issues and seek solutions to support its members to overcome those challenges. That's what our members expect for AWEB membership. In question 11, I asked them how they expect the association to support them to overcome those challenges. They want technical and financial support from the association. And they want the association to provide more training programs for their capacity building. They also expect the association to facilitate more opportunities for exchange and sharing of knowledge and best practices. Policy-wise, the association should find ways to meet its members' expectation. It should find ways how to make the most use of its resources to meet its members' needs. If it lacks resources, it may think of seeking cooperation with other international partners. Many members expressed their concerns about political influence. And they want the association to stay independent and neutral. What does that mean? How are they related? According to the charter of AWEB, AWEB is a non-political organization, and it is not supposed to interfere with the sovereignty of any country. For this reason, the association has been very quiet about political issues. There is nothing wrong with this. But the association has also been quiet about universal values and the principles of election and democracy. It is supposed to pursue and advocate. The association will never deal with political issues of a particular country. It will never interfere with the sovereignty of any country. But on the occasion of the 10th anniversary, we may think of adopting a policy that the association should be more vocal in addressing and advocating universal values and principles of election and democracy. Being a member of AWEB, which is a non-political, independent, neutral, and advocating independence of election management bodies from political influence, our members may gain strength from its AWEB membership to fight domestic political forces. Let's move on to the questions about programs and activities. I gave the respondents several examples of AWEB's activities to help them answer the questions. For example, AWEB programs include capacity building programs and election observation programs. AWEB meetings include the General Assembly meeting and Executive Board meeting. Another example is contribution to AWEB newsletter or annual report. Question 17, I asked them which activity they found most useful. Many of them chose the capacity building program and election observation program as the most useful activities. Question 19, I asked them if they ever participated in the capacity building program. And question 20, I asked them to rate the quality of the program. As you see, most of them highly evaluate the AWEB capacity building program. Therefore, we may come to a conclusion that the AWEB capacity building program should continue. But there is an issue with the AWEB capacity building program. In question 19, many members are saying they have never experienced the AWEB training program. Moreover, over 50% of AWEB members didn't join this survey. I presume that many of them have had very little experience of AWEB activities. That's why they might not be motivated to participate in this survey. Now we have to find ways how AWEB programs can reach out to all members of AWEB and as often as possible. Question 21, what issues or topics should AWEB programs carry? There are various topics members want to see, not only in capacity building programs, but all AWEB activities in general. As you see, there are many topics such as ICT, voter and civic education, sharing of best practices, online election campaign, engagement with various electoral stakeholders, conflict resolution, cybersecurity, equality-related issues, etc. These are the topics our members are greatly interested in, so we have to take them into consideration when organizing a program. Now let's move on to the questions about communication. Most communications of AWEB are carried out through the Secretariat. In question 23, I asked them how satisfied they are with the way the communication is carried out in AWEB. As you see, most respondents highly evaluate their communication with AWEB or the Secretariat. But of course, there's a room for improvement. 2 questions were given to the respondents as to how to improve the communication. One question is about the communication between and among members, and the other one is about the communication between members and the Secretariat. The answers to question 25 and 26 are quite similar. The respondents suggest to use diverse communication methods, including social media, email, website, and newsletter, etc. They also suggest to facilitate communication by organizing more physical and virtual meetings and programs. Those communication methods suggested by the respondents are not new. the association has already used those methods to facilitate communication. Having said that, the respondents point out 3 things. 1, more useful information should be communicated. Information should be updated more frequently and regularly. And every participant in the communication should be able to interact with each other. From now, let me briefly share with you some findings from the survey of our partner organizations of AWeB. I surveyed our partner organizations, asking them how they evaluate their partnership with AWeB and other relevant questions. To begin with, they highly evaluate the partnership with the AWeB. They expressed their satisfaction describing their collaboration with AWeB mutually beneficial and impactful. Answering a question regarding the effectiveness of their collaboration with AWeB, they also highly evaluated AWeB's ability to facilitate knowledge exchange and capacity building initiatives, highlighting specific successes in the areas of election monitoring, technical assistance, and country projects. Regarding potential cooperation with AWeB, they take note of the large membership of AWeB and the common interest in democracy and legitimate elections. They hope to reach out to many election management bodies across the world by cooperating with AWeB in many areas, such as research, publication, and other collaborative projects on democracy and elections. They made some useful suggestions. They suggest AWeB to periodically update AWeB's programs and activities so that they can understand AWeB's areas of focus and identify synergies. They also suggest AWeB to promote further cooperation with the regional and sub-regional EMB networks across different continents. Furthermore, they recommend that regularly updated information of AWeB should be made available not only to election management bodies, but also to the academic community or general public for AWeB to be more widely recognized. These are the key findings from the survey results. Thank you for listening. Okay, now we are moving on. Now I would like to invite Mr. Simon Mamabolo, Chief Electoral Officer of IEC South Africa, to give his evaluation of the past performances of AWeB. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Excellencies, our assessment of the 10 years is predicated on the understanding that the past 10 years was in fact an establishment phase of the institution. And it being an establishment phase, it meant that there was a huge drive to attract membership. Secondly, there was a huge drive to ensure that there's institutional credibility. In other words, because if you don't have the governance instruments to ensure that you maintain a well-oiled organization, then that organization is likely to falter. So the internal policies, internal procedures became an important element of establishing AWeB as an institution with credibility. But AWeB, as it was established, it also had to implement programs, and we've heard a lot about those this afternoon. But a point that is standing out for us is that AWeB gave us the foundation for international solidarity in election administration. There is no other body in the world that offers election practitioners a base for international solidarity. And we think it's an important plus for AWeB. The capacity building program in its multifaceted nature, for us, it's a cornerstone of what AWEB should be it in the ICT field, be it in terms of the visitors program, in terms of the country projects and so on. Because if you are to influence the good conduct of election, you must then improve the quality of the professionals who deliver elections. And the capacity building program is trying to do exactly that. Influence the conduct of election by improving the election professionals through various forms of capacity building. There's an issue that the AWEB Center in India presented here. We think electoral scholarship is important. So you can't just build capacity, but you need a research-led scholarship in election administration. So that you build a cadre of people who can engage at the policy level through research and scholarship. And the work that the AWEB Center does in India is quite important in that regard. South Africa, in its chairpersonship over the next year left and so on, is also pushing electoral scholarship to the center, because we believe that to be crucial. We found that the General Assemblies to be a platform of deep learning and exchange, especially the conferences that come either before or after the General Assembly itself. And we believe that that's the practice we have to keep going forward, because it's a great platform for learning and exchange between members of AWEB. And lastly, and perhaps not least, I think finances permitting, we have to escalate our election observation efforts, because observation is the foundation for improvement. That feedback that you receive from your fellow EMBs when they come to observe you is important for improvement in the next election. And not only that, if it's feedback that comes from fellow EMBs, firstly, it's informed because they've done it before themselves. It is not an outsider who wants to talk about electoral practices, yet they've never run a by-election themselves. So we know that this type of feedback from election observation comes from the good heart, from a person who has done it, and therefore has a sense of practice in whatever they are saying. So we think that we need to escalate efforts around the election observation efforts of AWEB. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mamabullah. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Anup Chandra Pandey, Election Commissioner of India, to give his evaluation of the past performances of AWEB. Over to you.
His Excellency Insek Jang, Secretary General AWEB, His Excellency Mr. Mosotha Moepa, Chairperson IEC of South Africa and Chairperson of AWEB, Excellencies present here from election management bodies and those who have joined us virtually, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to convey my good wishes to all AWEB members on the momentous occasion of the 10th anniversary of AWEB. It is a significant milestone and provides a unique opportunity for all of us to reflect on AWEB's journey so far, celebrate its remarkable achievements, and deliberate upon its path for the future. India, as the largest democracy of the world, has always cherished its precious association with AWEB. That is why, despite the fact that elections in 5 of our major states are less than a month away, we have decided to come personally for this meeting. We have always been keen to share the more than 73 years of our democratic experience of our close to 1 billion voters with our fellow democracies. Today, the very fact that AWEB has grown from 96 election management bodies who joined initially as members of AWEB in October 2013 to now 121 EMBs is a testament to the strength which has made AWEB a truly global organization in the field of election management. This is a commendable achievement for AWEB. However, it must be the association's priority to further diversify the membership and ensure that maximum democracies out of 193 members of UN, and there are a number of democracies which are still not members of AWEB, they should ideally be in AWEB with an enhanced sense of belonging. Since its inception in October 2013, AWEB has made substantial contribution in empowering the democratic framework of AWEB members. AWEB provides a platform like no other organization for facilitating the exchange of experiences and sharing knowledge and expertise among its members in the shared pursuit of promoting free, fair, transparent, participative, and safe elections throughout the world. EMBs face a number of challenges. All of us face them in varying degrees. Non-inclusivity, now that is a big challenge. Somewhere it is gender, somewhere it is ethnicity, somewhere it is religion, somewhere other forms of discrimination. Equal access, again, is a big challenge. Security, ethical participation, somewhere it is muscle power, somewhere it is money power, which tries to induce the elections. Adapting to ever-changing technologies, that is a big challenge. Lack of resources for the EMBs is a challenge in a number of democracies. Legislative, regulatory constraints, that again is a challenge. Maintaining independence of EMBs, the integrity of the election process, that is a big challenge when which a number of us are facing one way or the other. Access to equitable political finance by all the political parties, by all the candidates. Now, people are facing in one way or the other. Misuse of social media, fake news, voter apathy. These are some of the major challenges which all of us are facing. These are shared challenges. AWEB, today when we are reviewing it as a platform, should help devise shared solutions. In recent times, the unprecedented challenges, dilemmas, and considerations during COVID times highlighted the vital role and importance of international cooperation and multilateral engagement of the EMBs. During the very difficult COVID time that all of us faced together, the AWEB platform helped us to talk to each other, to draw solace and strength, and come out with shared solutions. AWEB has been at the forefront of leading discussions and engagements among members to consult and learn from one another. I would like to convey my deep appreciation to the AWEB Secretariat, led by the Secretary General, for its constant support to AWEB members to keep the AWEB impetus going through all these years. During the COVID era, the AWEB Secretariat adapted to the novel way of conducting business and held its annual executive board meetings through an innovative written format. We note with satisfaction that over the years, AWEB has undertaken a number of projects to assist member EMBs, including country programs for Kyrgyz Republic, Kenya, Ecuador, Congo, El Salvador, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Samoa during this 2015 to 2018 period, arranging election visitor programs to a number of countries like Bosnia-Herzegovina, Kyrgyz Republic, Ecuador, Indonesia, Armenia, Croatia, Albania, hosting capacity building and training programs for officials for member EMBs, participating in international conferences and seminars, and organizing AWEB meetings on a regular basis. Member EMBs have benefited immensely from these activities. India continued with its unwavering and steadfast commitment to the vision and mission of AWEB. As my colleague, Sri Dharmen Sharma, has just now mentioned in his presentation, India has always taken a number of initiatives. We fulfilled the commitment of made in 2019 by setting up the AWEB India Center at ACI, and for research, for documentation, for training, for sharing best practices, and for capacity building. And I would not dwell on that. So most of the points have been covered, what AWEB Center is doing and what India is contributing as far as training and capacity building is concerned through our India International Institute of Democracy and Election Management, IIDM. So most of the training programs, and we have conducted more than 122 international programs with 2,700 election officials from 109 countries. So most of them, we do it through the Indian government, the Ministry of External Affairs, through our ITEC program, that is the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program, which covers full expenses, including airfares for the participants. So our colleague from South Africa was mentioning that there should be scholarship-based research courses. So I would say that while these programs which we conduct in the India International, our IIDM Institute, they are basically covering the various facets of election management. The scholarship-based programs, they are of the research courses, they are of a higher level. So what we have started very recently is the higher program, that is the master's program, through Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai. So that program, the Election Commission has started along with this Tata Institute. And we have already reserved 5 slots for international participants in this program. So we invite AWEB member EMBs to depute their officials to participate in these programs. On behalf of Election Commission of India, I would like to reiterate our firm commitment to the ideals enshrined as per the vision and mission of AWEB Charter, with the objective of further enhancing the camaraderie and mutual cooperation between the members and ensuring that AWEB goes from strength to strength in its endeavor with the cooperation of all the members and partners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Pandey, for your evaluation and the cheering words. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Tony Glebla, President of Romania PA, to give his evaluation of the past performances of AWEB. Please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson and Mr. Secretary General of AWEB, dear members of the AWEB Executive Committee, Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, dear friends. Thank you for this invitation. We congratulate the Secretariat for organizing the conference. We appreciate the participation of the PA Romania in such a high professional setting, together with the former presidents of the association and the currently leadership of the association and members of the executive committee, inviting the former chairperson of the association of this moment of reflection and celebration of our activity as an association representants of the valorization and recognition of the active involvement of the PR Romania in terms of the continuity and development of the association's activity, past, present, future, being the institutional memory of the informal club of the formal AWEB chairperson, election authorities shall become a permanent source of consultation, inspiration and continuity for AWEB activity in enforcing the electoral democracy worldwide. Allow me, dear friends, as for continuing the intervention for PA Romania, to be presented by my colleague Ion Mincu. Thank you.
Thank you. PA Romania has been one of the founding members since October 2013 and is continuously involved in the activity of the association by holding the position of vice chairman in the period of 2015-2017, by the chairman in the period of 17 to 19, and the member of the executive committee in the period of 1921. The unique experience of PA Romania regarding the chairing of the Third General Assembly, where we've been elected like the third chairman of the AWEB, and organizing the General Assembly and the Executive Committee in Bucharest, has proved that when you want to get involved in strengthening the values and the democratic principle, everything is possible. With that occasion, we had organized an international conference, how we count and interpret votes, the use of technology to strengthen the transparency of electoral process. That was on the September 1st and 2nd in 2017 in Bucharest, the Parliament Palace. That we had a very strong international participation, hosting around 150 participants from all continents, electoral experts and official and other international partners. By choosing the Romanian Parliament Palace, we call it like House of Democracy, we had intended to affirm a strong message. The basic mission of the electoral management bodies as public institutions responsible for organizing an election and managing the electoral process is to be the guarantors of democracy. Among conference conclusions, elections are the heart of democracy as long as they manage to connect citizens' options with political decision makers. In order to fall within these parameters, National Electoral Administration should strengthen their technical resources and professional competencies. Both as a public service and as a profession, the electoral institution should itself be governed by a number of fundamental principles such as independence, impartiality, integrity, verticality, transparency, efficiency, professionalism, commitment to democratic values. Since the AWEB Foundation, PA Romania has been allocated resources and delegated responsibilities at the institutional level to actively develop relations with AWEB and its members, and has been responded promptly and actively to all promoted initiatives by the AWEB Secretariat. PA Romania had participated in the administrative capacity development programs carried by the Secretariat as a provider or beneficiary, proving that it is committed to promoting and facilitating the sharing of the electoral expertise with the AWEB community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, PA Romania, President Glebla and Ion Mincu, for your evaluation and commitment. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Samir Chami Isa, member of Dominican Republic, JC, to give his evaluation of the past performances of AWEB. Over to you.
Thank you. For us, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. I want to ask permission because I am going to speak from the heart and idea. I don't have anything writing, and when I got an important mission in another country, I prefer to speak in my language. But don't worry, because Ina to help me with the translation. Quiero presentar los saludos de mis compañeros del Pleno de la Junta Central Electoral. Ena?
First, I would like to present the salutations from the members of the JCE.
Para nosotros es un honor estar aquí con todos ustedes.
Honored to be with all of you.
La República Dominicana obtuvo la segunda presidencia del 2015-2017 de AWEB.
The JC of the Dominican Republic was the second chairperson of AWEB from the period of 2015 to 2017.
En esa presidencia presentamos una asamblea donde vimos la importancia de lo que es la observación electoral en todos nuestros países.
When we hosted the second General Assembly, we showed and we were able to see the importance of election observation across the different member countries.
Y de esa oportunidad o de esa presidencia fue que pudimos valorar la importancia de estos eventos.
And due to our chairmanship, we got the opportunity to see the value of these projects and activities.
10 años atrás no es lo mismo que lo que está sucediendo ahora en todos nuestros países de América Latina.
In Latin America, in 10 years, there's been a lot of change, and the situation is not the same as it was 10 years ago.
Por eso nuestro país decidió apoyar rotundamente las observaciones internacionales, muy especialmente con AWEB.
And due to this, our country has supported electoral observation and especially the observation missions from AWEB.
Donde hemos tenido participación tanto en Paraguay, Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, entre otros países.
And we've participated in Paraguay, Colombia, Ecuador, and Guatemala, among other countries.
Y podemos notar la importancia que son estas observaciones electorales, ya que todos sabemos lo que está sucediendo en todos esos países de América Latina, donde hay una crisis rotunda en contra de la democracia.
And we can note the importance of the observation missions in Latin American countries because many countries are facing a very deep crisis, regarding democracy.
Está sucediendo en Ecuador, Guatemala, Brasil, Colombia, donde ya los gobernantes están dispuestos a hacer lo que quieran para poder obtener el gobierno. La política es diferente en estos momentos.
So we can see the situation as in Ecuador, Guatemala, Brazil, and Colombia, where the seated governments are doing whatever it requires to destroy democracy.
Y yo entiendo que una observación internacional como AWEB, compuesta por organismos de diferentes países,
And I understand that the membership of AWEB, which is composed of different countries,
donde mantiene organización en 111 países a nivel mundial,
and it is composed of EMBs from 111 countries.
es muy importante porque todos estos países, cuando asistimos a una observación internacional, estamos poniendo los ojos en el fortalecimiento democrático de cada país que visitamos a observar.
And it's important because when we come as observers, we're setting our eyes into strengthening the democracy of the countries we visit.
Y más importante es ese informe que AWEB como organismo internacional emite al final.
And more important is the report that AWEB issues at the end of the observation,
donde expresa la verdad, lo que ocurrió en todos esos procesos. Una garantía no solo de AWEB, sino de todos esos órganos que asisten invitados a observar el proceso en cada país que va.
And it just expresses the truth of what they saw, and it's a guarantee of not only AWEB as an organization, but also of all the EMBs that have come as observers.
Hablando un poquito de mi país, en el 2020 se suspendieron las elecciones.
So if I provide an example from my country, in 2020 we had suspended elections.
Y gracias a los informes de todas estas observaciones electorales, nuestra democracia se fortaleció.
And thanks to the reports of all the organizations, the observation reports, we were able to strengthen the democracy.
Por lo tanto, en República Dominicana creemos en la observación de misión internacional.
And thus, in the Dominican Republic, we firmly believe in the observation programs, electoral programs.
Creemos en AWEB.
We believe in AWEB.
Para mí, la institución más fuerte de observación internacional que existe mundialmente.
For me, personally, it's the strongest institution for electoral observation in the world.
Una institución que tiene como objetivo identificar las últimas tendencias y los retos de la democracia en cada país.
One institution that has the objective to identifying the latest trends and challenges that EMBs face across the world.
Preocupada por desarrollar las áreas de administración de los procesos electorales.
And it worries and cares for strengthening and fortifying the administrative aspects of the electoral process.
Además, promover y fomentar la eficacia, la transparencia, la libre participación en las elecciones a cargo de sus afiliados.
And also tries to promote the efficiency, transparency, and free participation of the individuals in each of the countries they observe.
Yo pudiera decirle muchas cosas que han sucedido en los procesos electorales en mi país y en otros países.
I can share many experiences of things that have happened inside of my country or in other countries.
Pero la importancia para mí de este evento es que nos esforcemos cada vez más en mantener a una web más robusta.
But for me, the most important thing is that we work together and put effort to maintain AWEB so that AWEB has a more robust, becomes a most robust institution.
Capaz de fortalecer la democracia de todos nuestros países.
Capable of strengthening the democracy of all our countries.
Y que se identifique como la aliada global vigilante del crecimiento y de la democracia del mundo.
And it can identify it as a global affiliate, as a vigilant for the global efforts for democracy.
Por eso es necesario unir fuerza entre todos nuestros países para apoyar y promocionar más a web.
And it's necessary that all of us come together and join efforts so that we can also strengthen the association, we can strengthen AWEB.
La Junta Central Electoral, única entidad centenaria de nuestra región,
the JCE is the only EMB that is more than 100 years old.
Y recuerda con cariño cuando fue presidente por 2 años de AWEB.
And it remembers with lots of affection its time as chairperson of AWEB for 2 years.
Y se mantiene activa y presente para darle la cara a cualquier llamado que AWEB le haga.
And we are active and present, so we will be answering the call for anything AWEB needs from us.
Seguiremos creyendo en la observación electoral, entendemos que fortalecen todos nuestros países y fortaleciendo una institución como AWEB podemos lograr fortalecer todas nuestras democracias.
And in our firm belief of the importance of election observation, I think that in order to strengthen our countries, we also need to strengthen AWEB so that we can receive the strengthening back.
Sean puestas nuestras palabras finales de aliento, armonía y esperanza para el brillante futuro y liderazgo universal que tienen por delante nuestra querida asociación AWEB. Gracias.
So finally, I just want to put forward my encouragement and my hope for the bright future of the leadership that AWEB has ahead in the next years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, muchas gracias for your assessment and encouragement. Now, I'd like to invite Mrs. Vanya Bielica-Portina, member of Bosnia and Herzegovina, CEC, to give her evaluation of the past performances of AWEB. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, I will first use this opportunity to convey congratulations and greetings of the Central Election Commission of Bosnia and Herzegovina to AWEB and to congratulate 10th anniversary of the World Association of the Election Bodies to all of us. As you know, the Central Election Commission of Bosnia and Herzegovina is one of the founding members of the association. As fact, we were host the second working group meeting for the establishment of the Association of the World Election Bodies in Sarajevo, capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. From the perspective of Central Election Commission of Bosnia and Herzegovina, in this short evaluation, I can say that it has been a great honor to be part of this association and to witness its growth and development. The opportunities we received by being the members of the association are multiple. We had chance to learn and to develop our capacities as to perform our basic duty, delivery of free, fair, and transparent elections. It could not have been possible without capacity building programs that members of the Commission and our Secretariat attended over the past years. Thank you for that. I have to stress that the programs are carefully planned and organized, and at the same time provide an excellent opportunity for exchange of experience and information, but also learning. One part of the learning process are newsletters that again provide excellent opportunity for an online exchange of information. I am aware that the path to AWEB, as we know today, has not been easy. And that is why I would like to commend the AWEB and its Secretariat for the dedication and the hard work they put forward in bringing the association in the forefront of democratic processes worldwide. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your assessment. Now I'd like to invite Ms. Teresa Pierce Lanella, Head of Electoral Processes Team, International IDEA, to give her evaluation of the partnership between International IDEA and AWEB over the last 10 years. Over to you, Teresa.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. Greetings from the archipelago in Stockholm. I especially want to thank you for just creating this opportunity for reflection and stock taking of these 10 years. And that's what I thought I'd focus my remarks on, because it's really been an extraordinary decade. And I thought perhaps we could put it a little bit into context. Now, our friends from the Indian Electoral Commission reminded us that they've been active for 70 years, but that's not been the case for most election management bodies around the world. Really, it's about 3 decades ago, about 30 years ago, that election management emerged as a professional field in itself, one where people could recognize themselves as being part of a profession. So I guess we could say the global field and the connectivity really began then. And that first decade was really special. And we've got our friends from South Africa here, and they'll remember this vibrant sense of vibrant growth and excitement. And I think especially those Southern African nations emerging from apartheid were really forerunners in, for example, showing the importance of civic education as part of electoral management. That wasn't obvious before. And so that was part of what spread. Also, this idea of independence was really something that emerged and spread during those years. And very much thank you to the Indian Election Commission for showing leadership there, but also in South America, the importance of putting constitutional safeguards around election authorities. And those were lessons that spread. And then, of course, several of you have talked about observation, and we can't forget the Filipino people power, which was really the starting point for this idea that elections were something for us all to keep an eye on and to keep accountability, and that belonged to all of us. So the beginnings of a field of election administration. So if we think of that first decade as being a growth and excitement, and elections as being something of great domestic pride, but also a lot of international support at that time, especially in post-conflict or post-Cold War era. The second decade, so this is leading up to the beginning of AWEB, was really perhaps we can see some kind of ordering. We see the rise of training centers, academic interest, certification, an understanding of what technology means in elections, regional standard building, SADC, for example, very leading in that, also in South America and Latin America, just a kind of an ordering of what do we expect to see from our elections and those kinds of regional agreements on what is okay and what is not okay. But that brings us to this particular decade that we're in. So if those earlier ones had the beginning of a profession and a sense of something being involved, a sense of building and consolidating, I think we're firmly in the era of protecting elections now. And I think many of you have already discussed the reasons why we need to protect elections. One is that this 10-year period just showed us that we couldn't take the ordinary running of elections, which is a tremendous logistical event, for granted. Some of you, well, almost all of you have mentioned the pandemic. That really put preparations under the spotlight. And so it became this decade has really been both a reality check, but also a resilience test for how we manage these crises. And while the pandemic, we may have survived it and gotten through it, what is coming is how we're going to deal with various natural hazards which are increasing. So we just saw the earthquake in Turkey, for example, or the forest fires in Canada and in California affecting how elections were being held. And in Pakistan, the floods, also floods in Indonesia, cyclones in Mozambique, and so forth. And so the decisions that are taken, this is part of the new reality of working with an election management body. And these, not to mention a war in our proximity here in Europe, but the rise of an actual war, but also the cybersecurity and threats in that environment. So in that difficulty, so it is becoming more difficult to organize elections. But compounding that is the fact that elections are moving outside of the controlled environment of the polling station. And this has real challenges for all of us. And that's what we've had to look at. So this decade has really been about dealing with the move of polling outside of the polling stations. We've seen, thanks to, turbocharged during the pandemic, but the advance of advanced voting, postal voting, out of country, a huge interest in out of country voting, both with countries that have a large diaspora, but also just from general globalization and people moving around. So this is, and of course, all of these other ways of voting open for vulnerabilities and criticism. They also bring new costs and logistical challenges. So this is something that this past decade has really needed to address in the election management field. And the one that really has made being in election management very, very, very difficult is the kind of toxic environment that we're seeing both online and offline. Everything from the deliberate undermining of independence that many have mentioned now, but also almost the deliberate manipulating of the acceptance of the result, some kind of game playing where you plant the seeds that a result might not be the acceptable one. And of course, we have social media amplifying any of these tendencies, or even simple mistakes that might be done in election management that are amplified through social media. And we've also seen the rise of threats to election officials, which will make it harder to recruit election officials going forward. Certainly in the United States, this has become a huge problem with recruitment, in particular for recruiting women. So this decade has not been an easy one. We're firmly in a protecting elections mode. And for that, we really need peer support and global conversations and these moments of reflection. And so for that, I just want to thank AWEB so much for this opportunity and also for providing those global platforms for discussing these difficult issues over the last 10 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for joining us online and giving your insights and assessment of partnership between two organizations. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Craig Castagna, Program Director of IRI, to give his evaluation of the partnership between IRI and AWEB over the past years. More specifically, Craig and I worked together in our partnership in supporting the Mongolia General Election Commission to make their achievement. Now, Craig, it's over to you.
Thank you very much. So I just want to also echo the congratulations that everyone has given so far to all of AWEB for the 10-year anniversary, and just to say thank you for allowing me some time to talk a little bit about IRI and AWeB collaboration. So thank you, everyone. Just some real quick background. We have a presentation up on the screen now, but IRI is the International Republican Institute, and we have a mission to advance democracy. And a lot of the work that we do obviously involves elections and election support. And my particular position is based in Mongolia. So I'm based in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and we've had a long history of programming here in Mongolia, supporting democratic processes. So if we could just go to the next slide. Basically, I'm going to talk very briefly about our collaboration. So there were really two good examples that I'm going to highlight. One in Mongolia and another was a conference that we held in Bangkok, Thailand. But basically, as I mentioned earlier, a big part of what IRI does is we support democracy and governance programming. And we had a USAID, so that's the US Agency for International Development, USAID sponsored program that was really focused on supporting women and youth political participation, electoral participation in Mongolia. This was a very tough time when we implemented this program. As many of you mentioned already, the pandemic, this program basically started when the pandemic started. And Mongolia was in this really tough position where it had to organize 3 large nationwide elections during lockdowns and bans on public gatherings, and really a lot of uncertainty during the pandemic. So a big part of our program was to work directly with Mongolia's General Election Commission, which is, of course, a member of AWeB. But we really leveraged AWeB and their technical expertise and themselves as a resource to really enhance our training component of our program. So one of the big things that we did is we held actually several consultations with the General Election Commission. And I mentioned because of the pandemic, actually the first 2 consultations that we did were online. They were completely virtual. There was a time when we just were not able to meet. And then eventually this culminated into an in-person consultation where we actually had representatives of AWeB come and be a part of this. If we could go to the next slide. So just to highlight real quick here, the first in-person consultation that we had was in July of 2022. And the photo you see here was held at the General Election Commission headquarters. And this was really just focused on e-voting and digital opportunities and best practices to basically help the GEC, the General Election Commission, foster election integrity. It was really great because of the buy-in that we received. There was a real keen interest in bringing different stakeholders together here to talk about how can we leverage technology to enhance election integrity. Obviously, Mongolia is facing all of the same challenges that countries around the world are facing, whether it's disinformation, right, different political pressures. And so this was really just a good opportunity to leverage AWeB to bring some of that technical expertise to the fore on this. Next slide, please. During that trip, we also, the following day, actually had a kind of a different thing, not with the GEC, but a separate roundtable with civil society organizations in Mongolia. And again, this was slightly different, but it was really just an opportunity to leverage AWeB as a resource, as a technical resource for NGOs, for non-governmental organizations in Mongolia, which play a really huge role in terms of civic education, voter education, GOTV, Get Out the Vote initiatives. The General Election Commission is a very professional organization here in Mongolia, but it's a very large country and roughly the size of all of Western Europe. And so organizing elections in Mongolia is not easy. It's a vast territory. And the General Election Commission themselves quite rightfully rely on many of these local NGOs to really help enhance their voter education efforts. And we had AWeB present on the South Korean National Election Commission's voter education best practices and provide effective voter education in Mongolia with really a diverse range of NGO stakeholders. Next slide, please. Another event, just to switch gears away from Mongolia, another time that we collaborated with AWEB more recently, this was earlier this year, is when AWEB and IRI collaborated on a panel that for a conference that was hosted by the Asia Center. The conference itself was on democracy and elections in Asia, and it took place this past August in Bangkok, Thailand. We collaborated on this panel to talk about formal institutions, youth and electoral mobilization in Asia. And so IRI's panelists discussed about their work with political parties and trying to get youth excited about elections, while AWEB's panelists, which actually included 2 election commissioners, discussed EMB and youth mobilization efforts and initiatives. Just our personal experience working on both of these in Mongolia and on this latest conference with AWEB, it was really just a great experience. I could tell you personally that AWEB was a really fantastic resource for our project in terms of when we were really looking for technical expertise on whether it was, digital elections, leveraging technology, or also talking about how to enhance voter education initiatives and how to leverage NGOs. AWEB was really fantastic. And obviously in the case of the Bangkok conference, just really coming together, sharing best practices, sharing experiences, AWEB was a really fantastic resource. And it's worth mentioning that both of the EMB commissioners made very solid contributions to the panel and to the discussion. And this, kind of cooperation like this is something that I think should be looked into further and further supported. IRI is an international NGO. We're in over 80 countries around the world doing different election-related programs. Is really thankful to AWEB to be able to turn to them and their pool of resources, pool of members, just like all of you, to really take those lessons and to share that with not only the Mongolian General Election Commission, but also NGOs and civil society members here in Mongolia. If you could just go to the next slide. So just to wrap up, I'll be very brief with this. Long story short, IRI is an organization that has this mission to advance democracy, and we have been in Mongolia now over 3 decades and have done lots of really good work. But I think there are more challenges ahead, right? And there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I think finding opportunities to really engage and to share these lessons learned and these best practices and to kind of cultivate this network that AWEB has cultivated over the past 10 years is really a vital resource, and one that is not only remains relevant today and now and has been helpful in the past, but is one that is going to remain important. So I really just want to once again congratulate everyone on the 10-year anniversary and to really personally thank AWEB for all the assistance that they've provided. And we really look forward to continuing to find opportunities to work with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Craig, for your insights and your kind words about the partnership between the 2 organizations. Now the session 1 has finished. We are going to have a 10-minute break. Please leave your comment, and your comment will be shared on the screen during the break. See you all in 10 minutes. Welcome back. Now session 2 begins. In session 2, we are going to discuss how to improve overall performance of AWEB. In the previous session of this conference and the previous meetings of AWEB, we identified several key areas for improvement. Before we resume our discussion, let's have a look at the key areas for improvement. To begin with, there may be room for improving the operation of the Secretariat. Its communication with the members, and particularly with the chair of AWEB and the executive board, can be improved both quantity and quality-wise. For example, the executive board meeting takes place only once a year. Reporting all agenda and important issues to the executive board once a year is not enough. Another area for improvement in terms of the operation of the Secretariat is its composition. According to our charter, the Secretariat should be composed of multinational staff. In this regard, we have to encourage members to second their step to the Secretariat and find ways for the Secretariat to accommodate the seconded step. We also have to discuss how to improve the operation of the General Assembly meeting and Executive Board meeting. For example, the General Assembly meeting takes place every other year. This long interval may have a negative effect on a member's sense of belonging. As pointed out in session 1, half of the members are not present at the General Assembly. So how to increase a member's sense of belonging should be discussed. Another important area for improvement is our finance. The Korean government subsidy has been shrinking and is expected to continue shrinking. How can we improve our budget situations? Should we rely on annual membership fees? But not many members pay their annual membership fees. Of course, budget is a very tricky issue to every organization. Having said that, our association is facing a financial difficulty right now. How to overcome the shrinking budget should be discussed. Program-wise, the association will continue to carry out various programs, such as capacity building programs, election visitors programs, seminars, research, etc. But there is a room for improvement in terms of who is going to organize and what content will be provided, how to operate those programs, and how to reach out to as many members as possible. With limited resources, we may think of collaborating with partner organizations, AWEB regional centers, and regional associations of election management bodies. This issue is also related to the question how to strengthen and expand our partnership with relevant international organizations. Another area for improvement is promotion of AWEB. How can we effectively carry out promotional activities in order to increase the visibility and presence of AWEB in the international community? Lastly, as pointed out in the previous session, our association may have to be more vocal in advocating universal values of democracy and fair elections in order to be a more responsible and influential actor as the world's largest association of election management bodies. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Karabo Mokobocho Moalakoana, Commissioner of the Independent Electoral Commission of Lesotho, to speak about her expectations for AWEB. IEC Lesotho recently joined AWEB. Its full membership was approved at the 5th General Assembly meeting last year. Commissioner, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Chairperson, Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. You have already shared who we are in the journey of AWEB, very new. And it was lovely to be sitting here and listening to those with old memberships and how they are still struggling with similar issues, just similar issues like us. I am here to share the expectations of IEC Lesotho, the Independent Electoral Commission of Lesotho, from its membership of AWEB. And the expectations in Lesotho really emerge from a strong belief that healthy electoral management bodies have a role to play in ensuring healthy democracies. If the EMBs are shaky and not able to do what they are supposed to do, democracies of the world will continue to suffer. As you've been told, we are just 1 year old, and some of the needs we join you with might be in the past for yourselves. But I know you will be very accommodating. And here are some of the expectations we have as IEC Lesotho. We wish to be active participants in this organization. We don't wish to just take. We are willing to take and give. Where we are, we have experiences that we have had over the years, and we do have some skills also to share with other EMBs. And we are interested in getting best international practices for management of credible elections. Credible elections are as important when you have a population of 2 million like us and when you have many, many millions. Credibility of elections stays the same. We would also wish to adopt and adapt strategies for exchange of information. Information control in this era is an issue we cannot look away from because it has a way to either build or tarnish the same credibility we are working on. We would also wish to garner strategies for improvement, continuous improvement of electoral processes to inform the various aspects of the electoral cycle. Because at each stage, with each election, we learn new things. This is why we need to keep improving. We also wish to take advantage of capacity building programs, the trainings, the election observations, the global network platforms that are available to EMBs to become stronger and healthier. We are here also to learn from fellow EMBs how they tackle various challenges such as political, electoral, technical, disinformation, malinformation, and the financial challenges that each of the EMBs seem to be facing. We wish to be able to tap into AWEB resource mobilization activities because resources are now even more crucial than before due to the challenges that we have shared, such as COVID status of the world. We wish to participate in AWEB networking platforms to enhance cooperation and communication with other EMBs. And drawing of institutions from other EMBs, especially on how to institutionalize and share acceptable governance models. Coming from 100% government-run institutions and trying to be an independent electoral institution has its own challenges. And yes, money becomes the weapon with which those who hold it can also hold the electoral body at ransom. Either the money is getting there late or they never come. So it's an issue of importance for Lesotho to be able to have an EMB that at least can be able to do its operations without having to literally lean on anybody heavily, because that can get used badly. And it is important that these expectations get realized, and we would not be able to exhaust them all in 5 minutes. There are so many, but at least from listening to what we shared in here, I already see us being able to access some of the solutions that we are really looking forward to. And Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity for AWEB to allow us to be a member. It feels good to be the last one of the family, though I realize we would want more of the states of the world to join. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for your insights and sharing your expectations. Thank you. Welcome to AWEB community.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Mr. Simon Mamabolo, Chief Electoral Officer of South Africa IEC, to give a presentation of legacy projects proposed by IEC South Africa. The legacy projects were presented at the last Executive Board meeting. Only Executive Board members had a chance to learn about the project. I hope today many members of AWEB will be able to learn about the projects, and many of the projects will be implemented immediately. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Program Director and Excellencies. I take the honor to present what South Africa proposed. I won't deal with the background. I think the background is quite clear. The legacy projects are anchored in the 5 areas as follows. Firstly, communication, civic education methodologies and platforms. And that really is to explore the effective use of communication tools and platforms, and then establishing innovative outreach methods for enhanced civic education and public participation. Secondly, research and publications, and really this is our mainstay project in terms of our legacy program. And that is to assess a worldwide impact of democratic recession on electoral democracy and EMB's ability to fulfill their mandates. Now, a lot of progress has been made on this second project. Based on the theme of the conference we held on the margins of the 5th General Assembly in October last year, we had a conference with the theme Safeguarding EMBs in the Age of Global Democratic Recession. Now, we've taken the conference report and developed it further into a journal publication in partnership with the South African Journal of International Affairs, as well as Taylor and Francis. So there are 13 researched academic papers that are in the final steps of production. And I'll just give you a glimpse of some of those 13 researched papers. The first is The Global Trends and Impact of Democratic Recession, Hard Choices for the Global South. Theory and Practice, Democratic Recession or Recession of the Legitimacy of the State. That's the second paper. The third paper, it's African election management bodies in the era of democratic backsliding. Fourthly, are polarized elections the hardest to deliver? explaining global variations in electoral management body performance. Fifthly, electoral staff training, tracing global patterns of institutionalization. The sixth paper is building EMB's resilience in a maturing democracy. No, it's not. These are not in the slides. No, leave it where it was for. Yeah, you can leave it there. Thanks. And then building the sixth paper is building EMB resilience in a maturing democracy, and that looks at the South African experience. And then 7, social media and its impact on democracy and electoral processes. 8, reconstructing elections in a digital world. 9th, building confidence in democratic elections, the impact of the TSE program to combat disinformation on Brazil elections. 10, constitution building and safeguarding the integrity of elections in Africa. And then 11, inclusive elections, the case of persons with disability in the European Union. Mitigating the impact of democratic recession through electoral assistance, and lastly, the role of the African Union in tackling democratic recession. So, and these papers, the 13 papers, are accompanied by 4 book reviews. And they've gone through a double-blind review process. And we are starting to publish them on the Taylor and Francis online publication portal. So they will be available to all members of AWEB as a resource that you can use. But the critical thing is that we're trying really to create a legacy of scholarship within the AWEB community by publishing these very well-researched academic papers in these varied subjects, but all related to the notion of democratic recession. And then the other issue related to scholarship in election management, in partnership with the University of Pretoria, we are in the final steps of getting approval for a postgraduate diploma and a master's degree in election management and administration. Both courses will be delivered in a hybrid mode, online and block lecturers to ensure flexibility by professionals and ordinary students. The University of Pretoria is one of the world's top universities and is part of the top 1.9 in the world. These 2 programs, once they are implemented, they'll be available to all member organizations of AWEB. So any of the EMBs can recommend students to do either a master's program or a postgraduate diploma in election management. The import really is to professionalize election administration. It's fairly a new field. As the colleague from International IDEA intimated earlier, that it emerged really. It's a peculiar sphere of learning in the last 30 years or so. So professionalizing it means having formal qualifications in election administration, and there are those two programs that we're proposing. Now, just a glance of the core courses there: democracy and electoral and comparative electoral systems, electoral law, electoral justice and regulatory frameworks, electoral logistics, technology and security, ethical and strategic leadership, program management and project management, public financial management, media and communication, electoral conflict prevention, resolution and transformation, civic and voter education, work integrated learning, and a research project. So the Senate of the university is currently working on getting this approved, and once they're approved, we'll, through the Secretariat, be communicating the commencement dates and related matters. And then the last issue really about the legacy program is the thought leadership, which is one of the projects that we think we ought to be dealing with. But the thought leadership program, again, must be predicated on a researched subject in the electoral sphere. And we will be proposing very specific webinar series based on the papers that we have. And Chair, that concludes our input on the subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your very, very helpful and useful presentation on legacy projects. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Dharmendra Sharma. Mr. Sharma is going to share with us the future plan of the AEF India Center. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Once again, a very good afternoon. So based on the principle of what the AWEB Secretariat has said, in terms of next steps, we intend to, and we also will be looking at the budgetary constraint. Of course, at an independent point of view, we need to understand the point being made as to why the AWEB Secretariat is saying it consistently there will be a budget cut coming from the Korean government. So what's the extent we need to understand there. But in any case, for us, in terms of next step, 2024 becomes a landmark or a watershed because we do the general elections. So in terms of publications, in terms of lessons learned, in terms of focus, we expect the 2024 elections in India itself will generate so much of material and so much of interest worldwide that around that the next set of activities for 24-25 will be planned. So the publication will continue. We may have to narrow down that, given that we will be all our energies would be focused upon the election itself, but the international election electoral visitor program will continue. That will be a great opportunity for the member countries to come in. The MA program, of course, continues. The IADM training programs, as you would have noticed, that the Government of India and the Election Commission itself has been financing slots for member countries. We'll try our best that the number of slots that we've been able to maintain, which are fully financed, are sustained at the same level. But we are also switching on to partly financed model, and Bangladesh and a couple of other countries have got into the shared financing arrangements with the Election Commission and through that to the IADM. So that model also will keep pushing because the budget constraints will always be there. The clear, the previous commitment that was given that of the 10 training modules we have, some of the AWEB member countries, especially from Latin America and Africa, said that the language becomes an issue in terms of absorption of these training programs. So we are now committed to bring up at least 2 of the international modules. We will not go into what is called a fully French or a fully Portuguese or a Spanish program, but we will try and get what is called a language assisted program. So that the participants from those EMBs where there's a language issue in absorbing the training programs can also be brought on board. So this is the broad construct of the steps forward in terms of continuing. We wait to hear more from the AWEB Secretary on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Yeon Min-koo to give his proposal of the future course of AWEB on behalf of Romania PA.
Thank you.
Over
Thank
to
you very much. Discussing about the future, we believe that it's important for Europe to focus on increasing the number of members at the European level, because currently we have only 3 seats allocated in the Executive Committee of AWEB, compared to the other continents. We consider it also appropriate for AWEB to develop research and documentation activities in the electoral field to multiply the number of conferences, seminars, workshops with regional specifics for the sharing of know-how and best practices in the electoral field. For all these activities, Romania would like very much to be involved directly. In this way, we can improve the best practices. The implementation of the electoral awards with the neutral involvement of the partner institution like IFES, International Foundation for Electoral Systems, with the international idea, with the network of electoral competencies Francophone, RECEF, may increase the motivation for the membership of the current members and also for the future member of AWEB activities. We are very proud and honored to be part of the AWEB community. PA Romania appreciates the activity of the Secretariat and its involvement in promoting democratic values and principles, and we assure all of those interested in the support of PA Romania in this endeavor. The role of the association seen by the founders was to contribute together to the development of peace and democracy at the regional level and global level by facilitating the exchange of experience and knowledge in the organization and management of elections. At the same time, promoting integrity, ethics, and transparency, along with compliance with the Constitution and electoral laws, and international standards, doubled by strengthening the administrative institutional capacity, will help us to leverage the credibility and reputation in front of voters and to all stakeholders, and in this way we can protect democracy anywhere in the world. Promoting and guaranteeing the free and fair elections is the key of our work. Coming back to our main mission, in next year, in 2024, PA Romania has to prepare and manage 4 types of elections: European Parliament, Romanian Parliament, local administration, and presidential. And for this, we have already started activities of planning, preparing, and simulating of elections, and we had requested the involvement of all relevant actors and partners participating in the electoral process. For PA Romania, the year 2024 is a unique year, with complex challenges that can be overcome only through a rigorous planning and preparation of the electoral process according to the electoral calendar. For this type of challenges, it is important to exchange experience and innovate to develop constitutionally correct solutions and those to contribute at the creation of good practices so that later we can share this with all those interested in AWEB community. And we can do that starting with 2025 year, preparing a document especially from this experience. Wishing success to our biggest electoral community from the world, I would reiterate that in terms of international relations, the main objectives pursued by the PA Romania that supports the AWEB community and the AWEB common projects are as follows: an active international cooperation and a proper representation of the authority, developing and facilitating the exchange of experience in the electoral field in order to share the best practices, providing electoral assistance to other interested electoral management bodies. We thank you and we wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yeon Min-koo, for sharing your proposal. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Jorge Sankar to give his proposal of the future course of AWEB on behalf of Dominican Republic, JC. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, whatever you are. We support all the recommendations. Thank you very much. I said good morning, good evening, good night. Buenos días, buenas noches, buenas tardes a los amigos de habla hispana. We would like to support the ideas that has been expressed in this document that is written here in front of us in this presential meeting. And besides that, we would like to see AWEB in the next 10 years continuing with the international electoral observation and promoting that the members of those missions could be from different continents. I was in Latin America, in Ecuador, in the first election this year as part of an international mission promoted by AWEB, and I was the only one from Latin America. The members were from Samoa, Philippines, Moldavia, Belgium, very international one. And it was very interesting to see the different point of view and the different logistics that you have in your mind coming from your country and visiting Latin America. I'm sure that the same will happen to people from Africa, from Latin America, from Asia, traveling to different continents. So maybe in the next 10 years, we can promote that. AWEB is the only organization that is allowed to do that because it's the only one that is global. We also should promote seminars between the members in order to increase not only the electoral support, but also the friendship between members of different electoral bodies around the world. Could be in an annual seminar, or could be if we decided to change the General Assembly and do a General Assembly every year. Maybe not for election, but ordinary General Assembly to give the members the opportunity to get together. We also like to create a technical mission to oversight the use of the technology in the electoral process. Technology is there. I know that in our countries, especially in mine, our electoral process are manual, but the technology is there, and we cannot be afraid to use the technology. So we have to promote and increase in our membership. We also need to address the fake news and the disinformation, and also the artificial intelligence, because it's coming into the electoral process. It's right there in the corner, and we have to take care of that from now. Also, we have to be more open in the communication between AWEB and the members. There is not enough. We need to increase that in order to the members could feel that they belong to AWEB. And we would like to offer, as humbly from the Dominican Republic, our academic arm in the Junta Central Electoral. Just a few weeks ago, the Minister of Superior Education approved our specialized Superior Institute in Civil Registration and Political Information, and we are allowed to give titles like a university coming from the Junta Central Electoral. We are doing that because we believe that that will increase the political formation in the population. And if we have a population more educated in electoral process, we're going to have more democracy. So we want to share that. We want to offer that to AWEB and all the members. And maybe in the next 10 years, we can go back to another meeting in Dominican Republic. We'll be lucky and we'll be honored if we have that chance again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sankar, for your very interesting suggestions and proposal. Very, very useful. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Mrs. Vanya Velika Pertina to give her proposal of the future course of AWEB on behalf of CEC Bosnia and Herzegovina. Over to you.
Okay. Now you hear me. So I said thank you once again. I hear so many good proposals, some of them on the same track, and I do not want to repeat what some of you have said, but maybe I will, because we think probably on the same way. So I would underline a few proposals that are, in opinion of Central Election Commission of Bosnia and Herzegovina, crucial for further development and work of the association. We are all aware of the difficult economic situations many countries are facing globally, but commitment that we all have made to the vision and the mission of the association must be accompanied by our readiness to pay the membership fee, and it must be clear. Vision and mission of the association cannot be fulfilled without proper funds, and payment of the fee is almost the only way to ensure sustainability of the association and its development. That is why I would like to use this opportunity to invite all members to honor this commitment. I am sure that more funds will mean more training and learning opportunities. Having in mind all challenges in the field of democracy and elections, and we hear about some of the challenges, we all need continuous and fast flow of information. I would like to see the association offering education opportunities such as master degree programs, which could be realized in cooperation with the university of members' countries. In terms of the topics for the programs, I would suggest digital technologies and other segments of electoral process, because we are going in digitalization, cybersecurity, which is also a very important question, ICT security, rights of disabled person, political party, financing, public relations, asset declaration forms, and so on. These are topics of interest to BNH-CNC, but I'm sure that we are not the only one who think this way. Furthermore, I would like to propose Bosnia and Herzegovina as the host of Learning Center for the Western Balkans in the future, and I kindly propose you to consider it. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to hear other proposals from my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for your proposals and sharing your thoughts. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Anup Chandra Pandey to give his proposal of the future course of AWEB on behalf of Election Commission of India.
Excellencies, in keeping with its objectives, AWEB should attempt to play the role of an impartial global knowledge provider on electoral democracy with country-specific and region-specific technical assistance and also advisory support. It should facilitate dialogue and strengthen capacities to deepen electoral democracy across the globe. We have suggested setting up of an AWEB portal which should act as a repository of election-related information, news, and best practices. No other organization in the world has such large and diverse membership. Each country with a different set of laws, conventions, democratic setup, and election practices can share updates on various topics for the benefit of AWEB community. We have also proposed that EMBs which make significant contribution or take important initiatives in the democratic processes may be recognized and suitably awarded by the association at its General Assembly. The AWEB Global Awards would be the first of its kind, recognizing the commendable efforts of EMBs in various fields, trying to make elections more fair, more transparent, and truly participative. The awards would not only recognize the efforts of EMBs, but would also inspire others to adopt similar practices. We look forward to an early implementation of this proposal. However, the major impediment faced by AWEB, as mentioned earlier, is the resource crunch. An important item which comes up for regular deliberation before this executive board is the issue of payment of annual membership fees. It has been noticed that only about just 12 to 15 member EMBs out of a total of 121 EMBs members have been paying annual fees regularly. It is important for each member EMB to participate and support AWEB in full measure with the aim of fulfilling the mission of AWEB and achieving its objectives. The payment of annual fee on a regular basis would immensely contribute to the financial stability of AWEB and enable the AWEB Secretariat to undertake projects and organize capacity building programs for the benefit of AWEB members. I would earnestly appeal to all the members to pay their annual membership fee regularly. We also suggest that payment of annual membership fee in full may be made a prerequisite for all members who opt for the membership of this executive board. Further, AWEB Secretariat needs to explore various funding options such as government grants, corporate sponsorships, and partnerships with other organizations, among others. I once again take this opportunity to reiterate our commitment to the objectives and missions of AWEB. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for giving your very important insights into many important issues associated with AWEB right now. Now I'd like to invite Ms. Teresa Perez Lanella to give her proposal of the future partnership between International IDEA and AWEB.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just waiting to be unmuted. Great. Thank you so much. So I'll focus on something that I think we can all be involved in, but in particular the international organizations as some kind of a hub or meeting point. And I'll focus on number 6 of Sung Kim's points, and that is the one of advocacy. And in particular, the movement towards new global norms. So as I mentioned in my last intervention, this is a very, very particular time. And the assumptions that we made before as we were building the field of election management no longer apply. And so we need to think through how we reshape global and professional norms around election management moving forward. That is the standards that we expect to see in our electoral processes. And I'm emphasizing global professional norms for a couple of reasons. Establishing the norms in themselves is really important work for peak bodies, international organizations, specialist organizations, academics, and so forth, because those conversations in themselves, what do we want to see, are a way of bringing people together and having those important conversations and seeing the diversity of what organizing elections looks like across. So those conversations that precede the development of global norms are in themselves important. But once established, global norms establish a baseline, and this is what's really important. That baseline is incorporated into national regulatory structures. That is, it makes it easier to make regulation because you know what's expected globally. They're a protection for EMBs to say, no, in fact, when they're under attack or criticized, to say, no, in fact, we are living up to these standards. So that's where standards can be important. But they're also an accountability tool for civil society and for others to say, look, this is what we're expecting to see. So those baselines are really important. But professional standards are also really important for institutional trust. And I think that trust is on our minds right now. And if we think about, for example, the fact that we can rely on a chartered tax accountant to do our taxes or a registered nurse to give us our COVID vaccination, it's not because we rely on that person, but we rely on the fact that they're part of that profession, and being part of a profession brings with it the understanding that this is a person that can be trusted. So I don't need to know that person. So professional standards are really a proxy for institutional trust. And I think that's high on our minds at the moment. But also professional standards guide the work of those who are in it. So I'm thinking of the officials that are in all of the member states of AWEB and those who are working every day. They're coming across very difficult decisions to make. And that's where professional guidelines can really help you make a decision in an environment where things are in flux and where your regulations don't really help you, for example, in the case of a natural disaster. And so those professional standards are really important for guiding the work of professionals. In terms of what areas, I would suggest a few areas where things are shifting. One is that we've moved beyond EMBs or election management bodies being able to handle the issues coming up themselves. We've seen working with public health authorities, working with civil contingency agencies, working with security agencies during cybersecurity attacks, working with tech platforms, etc. And the who has the balance and so forth, that is not quite established at the moment. And I think that's an area where we need to think through norms now that elections, the organizing of elections lands on more institutions. A second one is clarifying the expectations of a voting process. Now that voting is moving outside of polling stations, where we have established norms and guidelines, but what are the norms and guidelines around these new ways of voting? And a third one I'd like to propose is the sustainability or future proofing, protecting our electoral processes against future harm, future corruption, future attempts to undermine the elections, and what do we expect to be put in place now in terms of the financing, legislation, sustainability of EMBs. And to guide those, just as two final points, I'd like to suggest as we move forward towards developing new norms that we are guided by the idea of fearless independence. That is, in addition to the structural, legislative, and financial independence, that we really think about how to promote the confidence and the morale of very, very brave election authorities who are working in very, very difficult times, and their ability to protect their electoral processes against very tough pressures that they're under, especially political pressures. And the other one I'd like to mention is radical transparency. As we adapt, bringing alongside those who are going to be involved, we have to see elections not just as operational, but we're all experiencing that elections are intensely relational experiences, and we need to bring our stakeholders with us. And many of AWEB's members are doing exactly that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Again, we are looking forward to our strong partnership for the coming years. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Craig Castagna to give his proposal of the future partnership between IRI and AWEB. Okay, now we will change the order of the presentation. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Simon Mamabolo to give his proposal of the future course of AWEB on behalf of South Africa IEC. Over to you.
No, thanks, Program Director, Excellencies. I think we indicated that the first 10 years were the establishment phase of AWEB. But you can't be in an establishment phase in perpetuity. We now need to go into a consolidation phase to consolidate the institution of AWEB. And in that regard, we have to ask ourselves the question whether the charter, the AWEB charter, is still relevant and satisfies our needs in an ever-changing international context. So we really are calling for a review of the charter to ascertain its relevance in changed operational circumstances. So that's the first point that we think it's important. The second point is it's an issue that came up earlier in our discussions, and that is, how do we increase the membership of AWEB, in particular from established democracies? Because our strength lies in the diversity of the membership and the principles that undergird the work that we do, such as transparency and so on and so on. But it is important that we find ways of engaging with the established democracies to persuade them to join us and to see value in AWEB. And the executive board can consider a myriad of options that are available. For instance, shouldn't we be engaging them with the ambassadors from those countries during UNGA in September to persuade those ambassadors to bring on board the EMB? So even having directly meetings with those EMBs. For instance, in Africa, the Association of African Electoral Authorities is meeting in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's a great opportunity where EMBs are all put together to really say, here's AWEB, here are the strengths, and so on. So we need to be thinking about how we use those opportunities to promote AWEB and call for increased membership. And then lastly, it's a subject that is challenging all of us, and that is, how do we manage social media in elections on a global scale? Because the credibility of elections is being undermined through the use of social media. And therefore, the capacity of EMBs to manage social media and create regulatory frameworks that foster the promotion of human rights, freedom of expression on the one hand, but at the same time, that ensures that the credibility of the electoral process is not impaired. It's something that is crucially important. If there's going to be problems with the acceptance of election results, the onslaught for that is going to come via social media and no other medium. We therefore can no longer afford to leave it to the platforms. We've got to research the subject, we've got to investigate possibilities together with other partners of managing social media. Anything less than that, we are set for failure. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, Mr. Mamabolo. Now, I would like to give the floor to those participants who have been joining this conference online. And those EMBs who couldn't attend this meeting physically, they have shared with us many congratulatory remarks and congratulatory messages to AEF Secretariat. We are still receiving many messages, so we are going to keep posting those messages on our website and Facebook. And now, as we know, we are already many minutes behind the schedule. So now I'd like to invite one participant. Irfan Rahman, Electoral Commissioner of Mauritius. Please have the floor.
You may speak, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all distinguished delegates, distinguished colleagues from across the globe. I can see many familiar faces in the room. I recognize my brother from South Africa, the chairperson of the IEC and the chairman of AWEB. I recognize the CEO, Mr. Simon Mamabolo. I recognize Sri Pandey from New Delhi, and also Mr. Dharmendra Sharma from New Delhi again. Greetings from Mauritius. Today is a special occasion as we gather, virtually and in person, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the AWEB in South Korea. After the excellent keynote address of the chairperson of the IEC, His Excellency Mr. Mupeya, who has set the tone for this celebratory occasion. He's made my life yet again more difficult, since he said many things that I wanted to say in my closing remarks. But again, he said it so eloquently and so comprehensively. But we have to salute his wisdom and his presence in person, despite his very heavy commitments in South Africa. Today is indeed a great occasion, but reminds us of a remarkable journey of AWEB over the last 10 years and the significant impact the association has had on the promotion of democratic values and electoral integrity across the globe. AWEB's continuous efforts in facilitating knowledge exchange, sharing best practices, and fostering capacity building initiatives have been instrumental in strengthening the democratic processes of several EMBs, including our own small EMB in Mauritius. 10 years in the life of an institution is an important milestone and is the genuine cause for celebration. This is a time to take stock, to reflect, and to chart the way forward. As we know too well, the challenges to democracy persist, and we must be prepared to navigate through the complexities of emerging electoral processes with even greater efficiency. At a time when democracy is in decline in so many parts of the world, it has been heartening to see independent, professional, and efficient EMBs deliver incredible elections time and again, despite adverse conditions. Today is an opportune moment to salute the key role played by AWEB in supporting EMBs through capacity building programs. We have also in recent years witnessed a significant increase in threats and unjustified attacks against EMBs coming from politicians and other stakeholders. This has been touched upon by many speakers, and we have just heard with great interest the pertinent remarks made by Mr. Mamabolo on the role of the ever-increasing role of social media in the management of elections across the globe. In the circumstances, we as EMBs need to have more courage and even more independence and autonomy to defend democratic values. This is not so easy in the face of the various challenges facing us. We must ensure that our EMBs are well equipped to deal with both the challenges and opportunities presented by the digital era. This includes addressing cybersecurity concerns, promoting transparency, and harnessing the power of technology to enhance voter registration and the election and counting processes. Ensuring the integrity of elections is of paramount importance. AWEB must continue to develop and share best practices in election transparency and accountability. In so doing, EMBs can counter disinformation and misinformation, including fake news, as this would greatly help in upholding public trust in our institutions. This is why AWEB bears an enormous responsibility to continue to work with EMBs and other stakeholders to defend and promote the independence of EMBs and democratic values. On a different note, distinguished colleagues, young people are the future of democracy. Unfortunately, over the years, there has been a disconnect between the youth and the political class. We as EMBs must reach out and actively engage with the youth to empower them in the election processes, not only as voters, but also as future leaders. One of AWEB's primary missions is to foster cooperation and collaboration among EMB worldwide. AWEB should intensify its efforts to further strengthen these ties by reaching out to EMBs in other parts of the world. We've just heard Mr. Mamabolo again, speaking about military democracies. Unfortunately, AWEB's membership seems to be restricted to some continents only. I think the right time is now. AWEB should build up on its great achievements and showcase its successes to open up its membership to other election institutions across the globe. Closer collaboration, exchange of good practices should be the way forward. AWEB has also facilitated the visit of some EMBs to observe in other countries. This has essentially been goodwill gestures and missions towards other member EMBs in the world. This has been under the aegis of AWEB's election visitor program. I think it's been a very good initiative taken by AWEB, and like Mr. Mamabolo, or I think the chairperson of the IC said, this has to be revisited, and I have listened with great interest to the words used by Mr. Mamabolo, talking about the term, if finances permit, finances permitting, were the exact words he used. These are very important elements that should guide us towards the way forward. And also, we should discuss about the need for some sort also, alongside the observation program, the international visitor program, whether there is a need now for peer support during an election. This will be for the executive board of the AWEB to decide. I think it's important to talk about it and see whether peer support is an important element to be taken into consideration. This is what I would say, food for thought. I must seize this opportunity to reiterate what other distinguished speakers have said before me, that our small office in Mauritius, our electoral office in Mauritius, is committed to being AWEB's partner of choice in the coming years. This is important. We have collaborated for a number of years, and I think this collaboration should continue in the future. To conclude, let us all wish for the next decade to be filled with even greater achievements, success stories in the pursuit of democratic ideals within the AWEB family. With renewed solidarity and resilience, we will together continue to carry high the vision and ideas of AWEB. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for your very passionate comments. Now we have reached the end of 10th anniversary conference of AWEB. I understand there are many participants joining virtually who want to give comments. However, due to time constraints, now I think we have to close the meeting. Now I'd like to thank all participants for your valuable insights and ideas to make our association grow stronger and attain its mission and goals for the next 10 years. My special thanks also go to everyone who has been joining this occasion online despite time difference. The Secretariat will do its best to be able to organize a face-to-face event accommodating as many participants as possible next time. Last but not least, I would like to thank all AWEB Secretariat staff, not only for today's event, but also for the hard work they have done for the last 10 years. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. Before closing the conference, we are going to take a screenshot. Everyone, please turn on your video.